Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we decode the language of big business and try to find out if companies are actually making sense or just playing us for fools. Today we're diving into some pretty wild news from Enveric Biosciences. Incorporated, it seems like this company has been juggling more than just science lately, and their latest report is a real page turner. If you like your financial news with a healthy dose of drama, stick around to see if they're on the right track or about to tumble. Alright, let's get straight into what Enveric Biosciences Incorporated has been up to. This is a company that develops treatments for various diseases, and like many in the biotech world, they often face big swings in their fortunes. Today we're looking at a filing that details some significant events, mostly around keeping their stock on major exchanges and some interesting financial maneuvers. So the big story here is Enveric Biosciences struggled to stay listed on the Nasdaq. They got a notice because their stockholders' equity, basically the net worth of the company minus its debts, dropped below the required $2.5 million. This is a serious issue because it can lead to your stock being kicked off the exchange. They had a deadline to fix this, and they say they submitted a plan. To address this equity issue, Enveric did something pretty clever or perhaps desperate, depending on how you look at it. They made a deal with investors who held old warrants. Warrants are like options that give people the right to buy stock at a certain price. Enveric offered these investors a deal if they exercised their warrants early, meaning they bought the stock now at a cheaper price of $0.915 instead of the original $3. Enveric would give them new warrants. The goal here was to bring in cash quickly to boost that stockholders' equity. And it worked, at least temporarily. They brought in about $2.2 million from these warrant exercises. This cash injection helped them get their stockholders' equity back above that $2.5 million minimum requirement, at least for now. But Nasdaq is watching, and if they dip below again, delisting becomes a real possibility. Now here's where things get even more interesting, and frankly a bit concerning. After fixing the equity problem, they immediately ran into another one, their stock price. The Nasdaq said that for 30 straight days, their stock price had been below $1. Normally companies get some time to fix this, but Nasdaq pointed out that Enveric had already done a reverse stock split in the past year. This is a big deal because Nasdaq rules can prevent companies from getting extra chances if they've already used certain tools, like reverse splits. So Nasdaq sent another notice because the stock price was so low for so long, and they had already done a reverse stock split. They weren't eligible for the usual grace period. This means they are in serious danger of being delisted. What did Enveric do? They're requesting a hearing. This is like going before a judge to plead your case. The good news is that asking for a hearing usually stops Nasdaq from delisting them right away, giving them some breathing room while they wait for a decision. But, and this is a big but, there is no guarantee they'll win and be allowed to stay listed. And as if all this wasn't enough, on the 23rd of October, they announced they are doing a 1 for -12 reverse stock split. This means for every 12 shares shareholders currently own, they will only have 1 share after the split. The par value per S-share stays the same, but the number of shares outstanding dramatically decreases. This is usually done to artificially boost the stock price per S-share, making it look like it is worth more. They did this because they were facing delisting due to the low stock price. So they're going from over 6 million shares down to just over 500,000. This is a drastic move. They're also dealing with fractional shares, meaning if you own, say, 13 shares, you'd get 1 new share and have a fraction left over. In this case, they say these fractional shares will be rounded up to the next whole number, which is a nice gesture, I suppose. This new split will be effective on October TH, and the ticker symbol ENVB will remain the same. The Accession Number, which is like a social security number for securities, will change to lean wool to reflect these changes. Now, let's wrap this up with my take. Enveric Biosciences Incorporated is in a very precarious position. They've managed to stave off immediate delisting by boosting their equity through warrant exercises, but this came with the cost of potentially diluting existing shareholders with new warrants. Then, they immediately faced a stock price issue, forcing them into a significant reverse stock split. Reverse splits are often seen as a sign of a company in trouble, a desperate attempt to make the stock price look better rather than truly fixing underlying business problems. The company's direction seems to be focused on survival, on ticking the boxes for Nasdaq listing requirements. That is not necessarily a bad thing, but it doesn't inspire confidence in their long-term growth strategy. They are clearly vulnerable to market forces and regulatory pressures. The biggest risk here is that these maneuvers are just band-aids. If the company's core business doesn't start generating real revenue and profit, they'll likely face these problems again. My conclusion is that Enveric Biosciences Incorporated is a high-risk speculative investment right now. They are fighting to stay alive on the stock market, and while they've shown some resourcefulness in how they're navigating these challenges, the fundamental health of the business and its ability to generate value for shareholders is still very much in question. Investors should be very cautious. Alright, that is our breakdown of Enveric Biosciences' latest filing. What is your take on these numbers and what they signal for the company's future? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If this analysis was valuable, hitting that like button really helps, and subscribe for more deep dives. Don't forget to check out the Discord in the description for more discussions. Thanks for watching, see you next time.